We're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. The Cincinnati Bengals back on the field today. Yesterday was technically an off day, but I'm sure, Lap, you could tell us that off days aren't really off days when you're playing in the NFL. Every day is a day that you're doing some sort of work to get better as a player and better as a team.
Absolutely. I mean, they had team walkthrough. So there were, no pads, just a walkthrough situation. So you're trying to stay mentally sharp. And, it's a pure rotation to hit the weight room. And usually players upper body one day, lower body another. And they get in that rhythm, in that routine. You might not be out on the practice field in pads, but you're still doing something. You're still getting your body going, charging the engine, the motor, get it going. So yeah, every day is a way to get better, be it physically, mentally, or both. And that's the thing about this football team. They've got, a great combination of players with a lot of experience, and then they get versatile players. Secondary is an excellent example of it. They get a guy like Hilton, who's a leader in every sense of the word, in the classroom, on the football field, and a guy like Vonn Bell. And I'll tell you, Dave, he looks like he's a step faster to me, man, because he understands Lou Anarumo's scheme so well. It's like another coach in the field, and he's anticipating stuff, and he's helping younger players play fast. And you have to play confidently to play fast. So, like you said, even on off days, younger players, they're getting the nose in the playbook, and you hear it from the coordinator, you hear it from your position coach. When you have veteran teammates that keep you sharp on the football field and can answer every question you have, and help you advance mentally that way, it's a big deal. And honestly, to have Geno Stone and Vonn Bell back there at safety, I know we've talked about it before, but I mean, a big reason in my mind that the Bengals went to the Super Bowl with that Lou Anarumo's defense was having the killer bees back there, Bates and Bell. They were unbelievably intelligent as well as, physically gifted. They didn't get fooled back there. They got their teammates in the right spots. They communicated. I mean, hearing Vonn Bell back there yelling routes out. He's been around so long. He knows by formation, there's only a couple of things they're probably going to do. And, right away, he knows the one they're going to do. he's got to eliminate. He's got it down. He'll yell. He'll call out what the route's going to be. And it's kind of, a little disconcerting to some offensive players. When you have that going on up the middle of the football field at the safety position, it's going to help big time. And it trickles down to the linebackers and then, you want to be solid up that gut. And, man, when you get a couple of veteran players like that, it's going to help everybody, young players, veteran players, everybody. There's no doubt.
9 days, Lap, 9 days away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking the field against the Cincinnati Bengals. Basically, Zach Taylor today, from what I took from his press conference, was saying time for the young players to make their case why they need to be a member of the Cincinnati Bengals for the 2024 season.
No doubt. And, he started it with the very first day in pads. The last 6 snaps of practice on day one in pads was for the younger players. Okay, let's go all out. It's live, tackle. And those guys appreciate that. I can remember my rookie year in training camp, you wanted to do everything you possibly could do to make as good a first impression as you could possibly make on the coaches, because, when you're a young player like that, it's like, oh man, these coaches, they know these veterans, they know, they've got a really good connection with these guys. They know what they can do, and you're going to have to show what you can do. And so when Zach gives those guys a shot like that, man, I mean, that was my at the presser with Zach. I was like, those guys are thirsting for an opportunity, man. You gave them a drink. I mean, that was big, and I'm sure they appreciate it, and they're going to respond like that. And he's really good at making competitive environments at the end of practice like that. Today, he started into the situational football stuff. He went 3rd and 1, and if you don't convert, now it's 4th down, and you got to go, and go for it on 4th down and see what you can get done on the very first snap. You got a great play made by Pratt, on 3rd down, and now it's 4th and 2, but the offense steps up and makes a conversion on 4th down. So it's competitive, it's situational football, and then he also started at the plus 35-yard line in the scoring zone. it's going to be a touchdown or a field goal. What's going to happen, and make that competitive. And man, on that particular on the first drive that Joe Burrow had, Charlie Jones ran a good route, and he made a nice catch for a touchdown in the front corner of the end zone, working against Dax Hill. Joe was pretty sharp in the second half of practice. Like he said at his presser, the first half maybe wasn't his best in his mind, but the second half he really did. He really stepped up and made some plays. So it's good to see them, competing like that. And again, the receivers, the guys that are going from the first year to the second year, Yossi, Charlie Jones, are showing that they've done a ton of work, not just physically but mentally. I mean, they are so much more sure of what they're supposed to do. And when you're a football player and you're like, is it this or that? You're done, because you end up doing nothing. You're too hesitant. You're not sure of yourself. Now these guys are out there. I know this is the route I'm supposed to run. I know this is how I'm supposed to run it. Against this coverage, I make that adjustment. And from year one to year two, guys usually make huge strides in that area. And that's what these guys are doing. And that's another thing I asked, Joe about in the presser. And he said that those young players have made big strides from year one to year two. And that's what usually happens, Dave. And they've got quite a few skill players in that category. And no surprise, during the course of things on, the first and 10, that it's like 3 downs, make the first down. T. Higgins makes a big catch. He made a big play on one of those scoring opportunities. I mean, he's going to be making plays, and there's no better way to get things done than to have 2 guys out there the caliber of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And both of them, Dave, when you're a genetic freak like both of these guys are, you've got a big work ethic, tremendous work ethic, that equals greatness. Jamar Chase is a genetic phenomenon, and he's got an unbelievable work ethic, and people aren't seeing what he's doing. The word is that he's in that strength and conditioning room with the coaches, and working his tail off and running, and he's doing all kinds of work. Now, is it football? No, it's not live running routes and all that sort of thing. But Joe was asked today, how long is it going to take to get in sync with Jamar Chase? He said, probably a practice or 2. And that's true. I believe this guy is just a freak, and he elevates everyone, because, not everybody is blessed and gifted physically as much as he is, but he doesn't take it for granted. He's got one of the biggest work ethics on the football team. And guys are like, man, if he's doing that, I better up the ante a little bit, man. I better get after it a little bit more. And we've talked about this before. Watching Troy Walters work with these wide receivers, man, he's in there giving them really good looks as a press corner, in the red zone. And he's still in pretty damn good shape. And he was a talented wide receiver himself in the National Football League for a number of years. And it's interesting to watch his relationship with his players, both in the meeting rooms, in the cafeteria, on the football field. These guys love Troy Walters, and he works hard. he's out there working physically as well as the installation and teaching them what to do and how to do it. He's out there working with them, man, mano a mano. It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, he is a joy to watch. You sit there and he could probably throw the pads on and run routes, because he's still very sharp in his route running, and especially in his feet. I noticed watching the drills earlier in camp, he's able to still, break down those hips and show guys, this is how you have to do it. You can't be doing the things you've been doing in college or through high school that you got away with because you were just better than everybody else. He's able to instruct, and that's, a signs of not only, we know what type of player he was. That's a sign of a great coach, when you can demonstrate on the field what you need to do and why you need to do it.
Yeah, it's like you can accumulate tape and put, okay, here's the way I want it done. This is a perfect rep of it right here, and you're watching it on tape. But when you're actually on the field and he can demonstrate it physically, he's still capable of doing that. That makes a huge impression. And I'm telling you now, his his players love him, and this football team, Dave, it's like, as a coach, if you had your choice, I'd rather have a better football player than athlete. I mean, you can work with, if you've got, a stallion or, somebody that's ridiculously gifted athletically, but he's not a football player, he doesn't get football, it's a waste of time. It doesn't do you any good. So you want to have football players if you have to make a choice rather than athlete. But man, this roster has people that are both. I mean, it has a lot of guys that, are very blessed and gifted physically, but man, they work at it mentally. I mean, they're capable of consuming a lot and have high football IQs. And, Geno Stone is a strong communicator. We talked about Vonn Bell. Vonn Bell, he sees it and communicates it as well as anyone I think I've seen, and I think it makes him look a step faster. I swear, maybe I'm seeing things, but I think he's a step faster than he was. So it's interesting. They were going to do red zone competition, and then at the end, the losing offensive or defensive players and coaches were going to run gassers. They didn't do that, but at the end of the drill, the plus 35 drill, was touchdown or field goal. It was almost like a 50-50 proposition there. So everybody ran, and all the coaches ran as well. So that was that was a good scenario as well. But I tell you, it's to watch the explosive play potential in the running game with Chase, and in that passing attack, and Jamar's not even included in it to this point in time. I mean, this team has an ability to be explosive, and it's going to be interesting to watch them. It really is.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. If you're looking for a career change, be sure to visit firststarlogistics.com for more details on openings within the company, a company that Lap and I get to visit every week when we go into the studio, and we love our visits there with all the things we kind of sneak in the kitchen and get ice cream cones or a soda, and it seems like every time we walk in there, Lap, they have food, they're feeding their employees. So it's an awesome atmosphere and great place to be and to hang out. And I know you haven't had time with all the preseason camp, but the game room they've got there with the PS5s and the pool table and all that, you could probably, kind of like that new locker room the Bengals have, you could probably sleep on a couch and never go home if you had to.
Yeah, really. I mean, you could live there. I guess I don't know what kind of rent Kevin would charge, but I mean, they really. I mean, that's it's brand new. It's just well appointed. Like you said, there's everything you need. You could literally live there if you had to. And I guess, Dave, another thing we could discuss. Obviously from an injury update standpoint, Cam Sample had to be carted off the field today. In one of the it was kind of toward the red zone. He had a little bit of an issue, a left leg injury. I don't think it's structural. I think it's more of a muscle pull scenario, and I'm not sure exactly what. But if it looked like he was in some pain. Usually, when you see the kind of pain he's in, a lot of times it's hamstring related. You don't know if it's in the middle of it, toward the bottom, or up at the top. Those things can be painful and a pain in the butt, literally. Trey Hendrickson didn't go. Sam Hubbard didn't go. And up in the offensive line, there was a get nicked up yesterday, and Deontay Smith didn't go today. I don't think he's going to be out for a long period of time. I think his was kind of a hyperextension kind of thing. So I mean, Mims got nicked up a little bit today in pass rush drill and missed the team, a lot of the reps in the team part of it. So guys are getting dinged, but it's not anything that is alarming. And it's like, oh my gosh, how long is this guy going to be out? I think so far so good. Knock on wood, they've been pretty fortunate in avoiding anything that would be problematic whatsoever.
Lap, you've had a chance, the Zach Taylor era, you've had a chance to see preseason camps other than the COVID year that really changed the way all of the NFL worked. One thing he talked about today was, and we've discussed it multiple times about this roster right now where it stands is probably the deepest it's been under Zach Taylor. And he today said the depth has allowed him to change how he is running camp. And that fans need to take that comment and understand what that really means when we're looking at what this team is going to become when they continue progressing through the preseason and the final roster they put together going into week one.
Absolutely. I mean, this, it's you don't want to go into a practice thinking, man, I can't really do anything too physical because if I lose anybody, I'm in trouble. I mean, that's a tough way to think as a coach. And usually if you start thinking that way, the football gods say, I'm going to punish you. So I think he feels like, I mean, right away, first day in pads, final 6 snaps. Here we go. Live, guys. I'm going to give you an opportunity to show what you can do. This roster is going to be a tough one to break into. We've got roster depth, like you're talking about, and like he mentioned it, at his presser. But again, 31 other teams they exchange, practice tapes, and people are able to take a look at other things that other players around the league. And so when your coach is going to give you that kind of an opportunity, all you can be is thankful. And I do think that the big obviously thing that they want to overcome is that slow start. So any way they can overcome that slow start, they're going to try. And Joe Burrow has obviously changed up a lot of things, how he's decided he's going to handle things and prepare in the off season. I'll tell you, we've talked about the weight that he's put on and how it's really benefited him and how he looks out there throwing the football and doing what he's doing. Charlie Jones has put on about 7 or 8 pounds. And to me, Dave, he looks like he's even faster because it's good weight that he's put on. It's muscle, it's strength, it's power. And man, I mean, I think it's a combination. I think that he worked so hard in the off season to improve himself physically. Plus, now he gets it. He didn't know what he didn't know last year as a rookie in a lot of cases in terms of what routes to run and all that sort of thing. Now he's got it, man. And now his confidence is sky high, and they're going to be able to move him into a bunch of different spots formationally, and so that's the thing. You have not only roster depth, but roster versatility. I mean, so many guys can play so many positions for this football team, both offensively and defensively. It really is. It's phenomenal. I mean, it gives coaches. I mean, you talk about a new lease on life when you're game planning and stuff, man. It gives you a lot of ways you can go, a lot of ways you can skin the cat, man.
We mentioned it, 9 days away from Tampa Bay and the Bengals taking it to the field and getting off the practice fields. But today, Zach Taylor did talk about the upcoming trip to take on the Chicago Bears on Saturday, August 17th. And prior to that, doing the inter-squad workout scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, practice, joint practice. And he's looking at more than just what they're going to do on the field against the Bears in the game or in that practice, because he's stressed. He goes, hey, that's where we're going to start building this team. That trip is going to be one for team building. And so you can see in his mind, he thinks he's got a special team because he's looking at, okay, what little pieces do we need to put together that, hey, when everything's coming together and we know we're going to have adversity, these guys are going to bond and have a strong bond where the adversity is not going to affect the performance overall for the season.
You're right. And it's like, do you have your teammates back? I mean, it's got to be more than just a football player relationship. It's got to be, relationships on a human level. And Zach is phenomenal in that area. And, he wants to bond as a football team. The players, the coaches to the players to the coaches, every level of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, there's some kind of a fun excursion somewhere when they go up to Chicago. I don't know, there's a famous zoo up there. There's a famous one. Chicago's got a lot to offer. They're going to be up there for a while. So he talks about team experiences and team bonding. He is really good in that regard, and they're going to be up there for a while. So there's going to be a lot of time that they're going to spend together as people, not just football oriented. So I think that's what he's talking about. And I mentioned one of the questions I asked him was about, when those controlled practices, those joint practices, you get them at home. and you get them on the road, and it's a little different dynamic. It's like now the young guys are getting an idea of what it's like. Okay, here's what the routine's going to look like when we have home games. Here's what the routine's going to look like when we're traveling, and you don't have to wait till the first preseason game, to do that. It's like going up there, and getting it done and working before the game. It's travel and everything, same thing. But now you're on the road and you're, living in a hotel together, and the meetings. It's just now you're spending 24/7 together for over a couple of days. So yeah, there's a lot of bonding that can go on there, and it wouldn't surprise me that there's some kind of a talent show that goes on. Who knows what kind of thing that things he's got planned. But he is unbelievable in terms of building relationships that will probably could be lifelong for some of these guys. Not just football. Gosh, I've got friends that were teammates back in the 70s, and those kind of bonds you make for the rest of your life. And Zach's aware of that. I mean, it's like when you're in the military, and I'm not trying to compare football players to our heroes, the soldiers, and all that, but it's that bonding part of it is one little element where there's some similarity. You have to have each other's back, and that you build special relationship as a result of that. The trust that has to go into that. When at all costs you're going to cover for each other, no matter what the situation is. And also it's like, I don't want to be the one to let my group down. I don't want to be the one that if I'm supposed to be someplace from a military standpoint, I better be there doing what I'm supposed to do. If I'm supposed to do something on a football field, I better be where I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to do. And then off the football field, you can't let your teammate down either. You can't do something stupid that's going to embarrass you and your football team and your city and everything else. And that's where you start to build these kind of relationships. And again, Zach's the master of it. There's no question. I mean, he gets it. He gets it on every level you can get it.
All you have to do, if you're listening to this right now, is go watch the one-on-one exclusive interview with Dave Lapham and incoming Ring of Honor member Tim Crumry. You guys are only teammates 1 year, but you're talking about a 40-year friendship, and it comes out so well. And when you had a chance to sit down in the First Star Logistics studios with Tim here the other week and really dive into his journey, his football journey, his life journey, and you can see that type of bond that we're talking about with guys who are teammates. It could be one season, but that one season ends up being over 40 years long.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. And it's like, because in that one season, the impression that was made, man, the respect that I have for Tim Crumry after working against him every day in practice and watching him play as hard and as well as he played, I mean, that'll never go away. I mean, I got the utmost respect for that guy. I mean, the most I could have for anybody, really. And trust, man. I mean, I trusted Tim Crumry was going to give us as a football team every single ounce of energy and talent the guy had. And you just knew it. And when you have that kind of trust and respect for teammates, good things can happen, man, no doubt.
You've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Do Lapham and myself a favor. Hit that subscribe button if you've not already subscribed to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Like this video. Also, hit that notification bell so you know when we post new stuff. You get the notification wherever you're watching at. If you're watching it on a computer, your tablet, or on a phone, is the case many times nowadays, you'll know when we put new content up on In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Lap, closing thoughts is another day in the books. And tonight, we're recording this before, but the Hall of Fame game officially gets the season, you could say, underway with some action on the field. Yeah,
and I guess my understanding is that you won't see many starters out there in the Hall of Fame game necessarily, but if football at the NFL level, it's the kickoff to the season. There's no question about it. And honestly, There are guys that are going to be out there playing tonight for their football lives, their professional football lives. So it's not like, oh man, this is going to be a, patty cake, nobody's going to hit each other kind of thing. Man, there are going to be guys out there that are going to be laying the leather, man, because they want to survive, and they want to survive, every cut, and they want to be part of that final roster. They want to be part of a football team in the National Football League for an entire season. So it's going to be interesting to see it get started, and there are 32 teams that are starting to formulate their rosters now and putting together piece by piece and on a daily basis, introducing new things. Like talked about situational football and always in competitive environments, and that's what it's all about, Dave. And tonight it's going to be competitive. You may not recognize a whole lot of names right now, but you'll recognize that they're giving effort. There's no doubt about that.
If you've missed anything on In the Trenches, like today, we released Lap's talk with Darren Simmons, the longtime Bengals assistant head coach and special teams coordinator. He goes in depth about all the new rules on kickoff, so you want to definitely catch that. But we've all been doing these practice reports after training camp practices for the last several days. You want to make sure you catch those up. And as we talked about, the one-on-one interview with Tim Crumry from the First Star Logistics Studios. Be sure to go back and watch those if you've missed those episodes. Until next time, this is Dave Burke for Dave Lapham. Hooday.
Hooday, Dave.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.